Hi, and welcome to Have a Chat. I'm your host today, Veronique Arsenault, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Judy Loche.
Hi, Veronique.
Welcome,
It's
as always.
Beautiful sunny day to be here.
It is, and of course, unfortunately, Audrey couldn't be here. She's a little under the weather today, so we wanted her to stay home and recuperate and be back to 100% next week.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a flu bug going, so just to be safe, she'll be home on her own.
Yes, but we have a huge show today.
Yeah, really good show lined up.
So much going on.
Mm-hmm.
So busy weekend.
Busy weekend. It was Mother's Day weekend.
It was Mother's Day weekend.
And it's always so special to me because I have my mom, and like some people that do not, it's very, very difficult. I have friends that have lost their mom.
Yep.
For them, they say it's the hardest day of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, it's my favorite because I have a beautiful mother, as do you.
I do.
And all I really wanted for Mother's Day was the love, and that sounds so corny, but when I went to my mother's home, the best thing of the day was to be able to give her a real hug.
Aww.
And you know, there can be hugs that are just a weak hug, like nice to see you, or there's those hugs like I love you and I always will hug, and that's the kind of hug it was.
Aww.
A long, deep hug.
Yeah, and you're lucky. You still do have your mother, and she's a wonderful, wonderful human being. So I was with my mom too, and I think pretty much anybody that knows me knows that my mom is my best bud.
She sure is.
She's my best bud for sure. But actually, I got to spend it with her two sisters, my two aunts.
Right.
We have one who's visiting from Alberta.
Yes.
She's here until Friday. And then the other, of course, lives here. So we all went to the Rod for lunch. Yeah.
Nice. I didn't really want anything. If I want anything, I just go buy it myself and say it's from my husband.
Yes. See, that's the best way to do it.
You don't know what you bought me, but do you like it? Anyway, he did give flowers and some jewelry. And he just said, what do you want to do? How can I spoil you? And I said, you spoil me every day. And all I want is just to relax. I really needed that after the long week I've had.
Well, yeah, because you were busy, as always, last week.
We're always busy. But, you know, being too busy is a myth, I think, because you do things because you want to.
Yep.
No one can tell you what to do.
No.
You have to do that. You should be there. It's like, I want to because I feel I'm going to be of value to that event, or I really care about being there with people I love. So I think being too busy is actually a myth.
Yeah, and I agree. There are times, though, when I've had like a long stretch of multiple events like a week, you know, and it's been, you know, a couple of months like that. I will stop for a bit, you know, for a couple of weeks and just say, no, I'm too busy. I can't go to that, or because I need the brain break.
You do? Oh, you definitely do need time out.
Yeah, I need the brain break.
Right, but we love to be involved.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's what keeps me going.
Yeah, me too. And the Paul Harris event, I emceed at the Rod. Now, we shouldn't say the Paul Harris event. It is the Rotary Honors and Awards event, banquet. And it's held every year, and it honors those people with Paul Harris Fellows, which is, like I said last week, giving a pin, an award to those who are outstanding citizens and outstanding in their profession.
Right.
His or her profession. And so we gave one to Sean Cribbs, who's been president of the club twice.
Yes.
He's an accountant, and he's also very involved with the Solid Waste Commission and getting rid of the hazardous waste products and all of that. And he does much more than that.
Yep.
Also, we had given one to Linda McLean, a retired teacher and principal for 34 years as a career as a teacher. So she was very thrilled. It's so nice to be able to give these people recognition. Right? And the Rotary Club has 4 members that are particularly instrumental in starting up the Bingo project, which brings an enormous amount of money put towards community projects.
Yes.
And so they have, except for Chris Kidney, who's the current president, he received a Paul Harris for the first time.
Yep.
And so did Ann Woods, Gina Skid, and Paula Septon receive another one for the work they've put into this. The initiative, the Upstart, and their involvement.
An amazing amount of work.
An amazing amount of work. And then for the first time ever, the Ron Morrison Memorial Vocational Service Award went to Jim Waters. And Jim's a fine guy, a teacher at Miramichi Valley High, an exceptional coach, and he was really humbled by it all.
I'm sure.
Right. So there were children there, and when you MC with adults and children, you can't be naughty and bad.
No.
You have to be very clean, good jokes, nothing off color, so I had to be a little bit boring. But
well, we always say that every time I go to an event that Judy MCs, I always say Judy gets away with saying stuff that the rest of us could never say.
I know I do.
Every time.
Yeah.
And it's always fantastic. We always have a great time when Judy MCs something. But yeah, I'm sure you had to be a little bit...
very, proper.
Yes.
Right.
Very G-rated.
Yes, but getting back to Mother's Day, my son Evan was in Mexico with 60 other classmates and friends.
60
of them. So when he came in last night, I said, would you like a beer?
I'm sure he won't look at another beer for a while.
He said, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But on that note, he said, Mom, there wasn't a whole lot at the resort to bring you home as a Mother's Day gift from Mexico. I said, Evan, you're bringing me you. And you're my firstborn child, and that's all I want.
That's all that matters.
And the second as well, I just want a big hug.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah. Saturday as well, the Special Olympics had a fashion show.
I missed it, and I wanted to be there so badly. I really did.
I saw wonderful pictures. It looked amazing, and it was at the Kin Center, and I saw many of our city councilors there, and our MLAs and our MP. Like it was wonderful to see, and it's all in. They're getting ready for the Special Olympics here in Miramichi in February of 2019.
Can't wait.
I know. I'm so looking forward. It will be the Winter Olympics here in 2019 in February. So I'm really looking forward to that. But they had a wonderful time on Saturday.
And I know Zakiya is one of the models, and Michael Clark. I know some of those young people, and they're very extroverted. They're not one bit, shy to step out there and bring out the latest fashions. They're very, very charming young people, and I wished I could have been there.
I know, me too.
Congratulations on that.
It's my turn this week for the quote.
Oh, you have your quote.
I do.
I always look forward to that.
I do have the quote. So it's actually I looked at who we have on our show today.
Yes.
And I wanted something that kind of spoke to my own heart about all of this. And so this is it.
All right.
I'm going to stop talking about it now. So this is it. So wake up, live your life, and sing the melody of your soul.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Emmett Ray. I'm not familiar with that name at all.
Me either, but I found it online. And it really, it's all about being you.
I love
that. Whoever you are, it's about being you.
True, authentic, being yourself. That's a beautiful short quote, but has a lot of meaning to it.
Well, sometimes it's hard to be you.
Yeah, but you have to be because there's only one you.
That's right.
And you can't be anybody else.
You don't want to live somebody else's life.
No, you can't. Like, you can emulate other people and say, I love their characteristics. I would like to take on some of those major attributes that they possess.
For sure.
But as far as being somebody else, we'll never truly be somebody else.
No, that's right.
Right?
Yep, agreed. Now, thankfully, some of the flooding is starting to recede. They say that I think by today or tomorrow, the waters in pretty much all of the province will be below flood levels. Not totally gone, but below flood levels. But we're actually seeing some footage here now from Chipman. And, and I mean, it's caused incredible devastation across the province. There's no question. So it's hard to understand how, water can do what it's done, but it really has, and it's record high flood waters have happened over the last few weeks since the thaw started, and the Prime Minister was in New Brunswick on Friday to tour some of the devastation along with the Premier and of course our MP and some of our MLAs. So it's amazing.
And the loss, you couldn't even begin to estimate the overall loss and damages in this province.
No.
I think it was in 80 years the largest spring flood we've had.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So I'm glad that the weather's now beautiful, that things can dry up a bit, and even locally people had their homes flooded that I know in our neighborhood.
For sure.
It was bad.
But what has been amazing, what always continues to amaze me, and I don't know why I am amazed by it, but is the amount of volunteers who have pitched in, who have, bagged sandbags. I think there was something like 35,000 sandbags.
Oh no, people pitched together.
So it's really helping their their neighbors to escape flood regions and really just helping their neighbors.
I know. And on that same wave of thought, we're going to turn now to the rugby player, the grade 12 student that was from Montague, Brody McCarthy. Yes, they were having the David Voy Memorial Tournament on the weekend. And he suffered, it was just a freak accident, but he suffered a brain injury and is on life support. And the parents have said they will donate the organs if things, they're not going to be turned around as far as it looks.
No.
But that's what my thought was, that people have just come together and help those students that can't realize the devastation and help them cope. And people have really pitched in. They all stopped the tournament. They all went back to their respective home places. They were not going to carry on a game. They were too distraught and well, why wouldn't they be? They lost one of their best people.
Well, it's hard to understand. You think high school sports, and, or sports in general. You think everything is going to be okay, and they wear their protective gear. Of course, rugby doesn't have a lot of gear.
It's a rough game.
It is a rough game. It's always maybe a little bit nervous, I will admit. But
it was a freak accident. Apparently.
and that's what happens.
And he was graduating this year, so it's just all around sad. But again, people are really, the counselors are there, the community is there to help the young people trying to deal with this devastation. So we just keep them in our prayers.
Yeah, it's hard. Hard to understand.
Yes. Let's get our minds working a little bit on this Monday.
Okay, so I have a thought-provoking question for you.
Okay, so for me and for the viewers, right?
Yes.
Because we like to get their wheels turning.
That's right. So, if you had the chance to go back in time and change one thing, what would you change?
I loved my career.
Yeah.
I worked with youth, young offenders and adult offenders for 23 years. I worked at the probation office. I worked briefly with, I was at the college doing correctional work as in substitute teaching for a number of years. I loved all of that. But Veronique, I think my true calling is in the theatrical world.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps if I could have, I don't regret my career, but I might have done something differently way back when, and that would have been journalism or broadcasting.
Okay, yes.
Something in that line.
Yeah. I can totally see you there.
Yeah, I'm very much comfortable in the public, and I love people.
Yep.
So I think if I could share news or entertainment stories with people, I believe, have a flair for loving to be social.
Yeah, understandable.
And so that might be something I would change, would be my career, although I really did like what I did.
Interesting.
And what about you?
Funny enough, I don't know that I would go back and change. Like I've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Experience over my lifetime. I think the one thing I would probably go back and tell myself, I think, would be to finish university sooner.
Okay.
I don't think I would have changed anything like, where my career led me or moments in time. But I think I would have smacked a little bit of sense into myself and said, just get university done.
Right. And there's people listening that were probably thinking, okay, I'm going to do that. I wish I had it as well.
Yeah, like I just get it over with and finish it so that you have the piece of paper and then do whatever else. Because I don't think having it earlier or not would have changed my career any, but I think it just would have been something it's something I should have done.
Okay. And that's a good lesson, like I said, to those listening.
And I would have been a little bit better in school in grade 12.
Yeah. Rather than social.
Yeah. I was a little more social than I should have been.
But those are the good old days, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I had a great time. I'm not complaining about that part for sure. But I just wish I had finished school sooner.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
My question, I was thinking about this as I was driving, and I thought, we all have so many friends in our lives. Okay, so say you have 3 incredible lifelong friends that have been tight with you since you were 5 years old.
Yeah.
And at some point in the last little bit, one of them has caused something to greatly offend the other 2. Okay. But it doesn't include you.
Okay.
But they have alienated that person from their friendship, just totally never want to be involved with that person again. They've been so hurt by them.
Yeah.
But that person's done nothing to you. And they also say that if you side with that person, that you're out of the picture as well. You love that person that's offended them, but you love them as well. How would you handle that?
Well, that's a tough one. Only because my initial instinct would be to try to see if I could mend fences between the 3 of them.
Mediate.
Yeah. And if that didn't work, then I would still actually make the effort to want to be friends with both parties. But if someone told me you can't be friends with that person, I don't know that I'd want to be friends with them anymore. Do you know what I mean?
I do know. I want to be friends with each one. If they were that close to me as sisters,
that would be important to me.
It would be very hurtful. But if they don't want you because of your attachment to this person,
I don't think I'd like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would hurt
turn
me.
You off.
That would hurt me
and turn you away.
Yeah. So my initial thought would be to try and mediate, so that how do we get through this, so that we can not lose a lifelong friendship. And then if that didn't work, then I would keep my friendships separate, but I would still stay friends.
That's a good answer. And I hate friction. I hate animosity.
Yeah.
I'm a peacemaker. I don't know. My sign is Cancer the Crab. So aren't they just 2 lovely things to be entitled? Cancer the Crab.
There you go. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, June. And what's your sign?
I'm a Libra.
Okay.
Balance.
I'm drawn to Librans. As far as my mom's a Libran who brought me up, and I've always been, looking up to her for so many ways. Yeah. My husband's a Libran. Yeah. 2 of my ex-boyfriends are Librans. Yep. I don't know, it's me and the Librans.
That's because we're fabulous.
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 And stubborn. Yeah. Some of the traits of Librans are very, very strong, stubborn. Yeah.
A little bit.
But loyal.
Very.
Very loyal and hardworking.
Yeah.
And the Librans I know are very calm, but yet when they have that temper that blows, it blows.
I have moments. I don't have like a huge temper, but but it takes a lot to get me there, for sure.
Okay, the same as the people I know that
it takes a lot to get me to that point where I'm like going to lose my beep. But but I don't tend to blow up, though. I tend to
hold it.
Yeah, I do tend to hold it, and I will let you know if I'm unhappy. But I don't tend to like scream a lot.
No,
you know, I'm not
yelling.
one of those. No, I'm not one of those fighters. But I do. Although, actually, I shouldn't, if my mother's watching, she'll disagree. But because when Mom and I argue, I am typically the screaming crazy person.
You're yourself, and you vent on those people that are closest to you that you love the most.
She takes the brunt of it, for sure.
I have a crazy temper. No, I don't yell and scream, but I have a wicked temper, and people cannot believe that. Yeah. They've never really seen it much, but it's because I don't stir the pot a whole lot.
No.
But if someone crosses me, and it's really something that's going to bother me, I lose it.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty.
No. But I'm fiercely loyal.
I'm fiercely loyal too.
Yeah, I know you are. So I'm fiercely loyal. So if you mess with someone that I'm close to or feel protective of, I will be very unhappy.
Yeah.
and let someone know.
So Veronique, this weekend is going to be the royal wedding.
It is. It's
May 19th?
I know.
It's a Saturday, May 19th.
I know.
So their wedding, I guess for us in Canada, I'm thinking it will have to be up at 4 a.m. if we want to watch it, and I won't be up. I'm not going to be up at 4 a.m.
I will see some lovely pictures.
I can't wait to see. I am not, what can I say, a huge follower of the monarchy.
Me either.
I'm not into their traditions, and I'm not a, what would you call it? Follower.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate what they do, and I do have an interest in these particular events. I think it will be smashing.
Oh, yes. Well, it'll be interesting to see, of course, who designed her dress and, who she's having as like bridesmaids and all of that kind of stuff. So, but I will see some lovely pictures. But
I can't wait.
I will not be getting up at 4 a.m.
Well, I was invited and I didn't know what to wear. I thought, what kind of hat, what kind of dress? I just thought, I can't get there.
Well, no, and you always need the hat, right? Because the fascinator.
Yeah. They're getting married in St. George's Chapel, which is in the Windsor Castle area, but it will only hold 800 guests, as opposed to Westminster Abbey, which will seat 2,000. That's where Kate Middleton and William got married.
So we have a full show. Yeah. Don't go too far. We're gonna take a quick break. Come on back, hang out with us. You're gonna love the show. It's gonna be a very interesting show today. So please don't go too far, and we'll see you very soon. Grab a coffee and let's have a chat. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. My name is Veronique Carson. I'm your host today. I'm a little tongue-tied. I seem not to be working quite correctly today, but that's okay. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Judy Loge, and unfortunately, Audrey couldn't join us today. She's a little bit under the weather, so we're wishing her a very, very speedy recovery. So our next two segments are really dedicated to something that we thought was a really important topic that we wanted to talk about today, but also that we really wanted to get perspective from those who are living and breathing, our topic and just to share your stories with us. So we want to welcome Melanie Maltby Ingersoll and Tyler Kingston. So thank you to you both.
Thanks
welcome.
For having us. Yeah.
And so on May 17th, so this week is International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia.
That's right.
So that's what the rest of our show is going to be about today. And so we're thrilled to have both of you and our next two guests joining us. But before we jump right into the subject, I'm going to get you both to introduce yourselves to our guests, to our viewers, so that they know who's joining us today. So Melanie, we'll start with you.
Sure. So my name is Melanie Maltby Ingersoll, and I'm an educator with Anglophone North School District. It's quite a mouthful between my name and the school district.
Yes.
So I currently work as a French immersion second language literacy lead for grades 3 to 12. So I travel from here to Rexton, Blackville. But I'm also the mother of 3 daughters, Aiden, Phelan, and Kellen, and I'm married to a lovely man named Sean, who many people know through the curling club.
Right.
But yes, and then I've worked with Tyler with the MVHS Gender Sexuality Alliance, or GSA.
So interesting. Yeah. So this show is going to be very well watched because people are very intrigued. They want to learn more and they want to hear your stories and to be educated. So that's why we're going to have a fantastic show.
So Tyler, tell us about you.
Okay, awesome. Well, originally I'm actually from Thunder Bay, Ontario, but my family's been here. I moved here in 2011 when I was 15, and I had a great time. So I got really involved in high school. I was president of the student council and this, that. I like to flush up my resume. And then
Good job.
Yeah, I went to St. FX for a few years, and then I decided I should get some upgrades, so I came back to town.
Really?
And now I'm in nursing at St. FX. I just finished my first year.
Good for you.
Both of my boys are, one graduated from St. FX, the other one's going there too. It's an awesome school.
It's a fantastic place. Yeah.
So that's
pretty much most of our family graduated from St. FX.
Really? Yeah.
So nursing career is on the horizon for you.
Yes.
You know your direction. Great. And
so, Melanie, talk to us a little bit about the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia.
Yes. So it actually is a day that came about because May 17th was the day in 1990 that the World Health Organization actually declassified homosexuality as a disease. It was removed from their documentation as being a disease. So that's why the day is so important. And Tyler and I were talking about it earlier, and he said, wow, it took them until 1990.
Well, really?
Really? Wow is right.
I know, I graduated from high school in 1994. So when I was in high school.
Yeah, I graduated in 91. So
I'm not even going to comment on that. It's just, okay, let's move right along.
So, Melanie, you said that you got to know Tyler through is it Gay Straight Alliance? Is that, no?
It used to be Gay Straight Alliance, but the students at MVHS, when we established the club as the Gay Straight Alliance, there were several students who had expressed concern about that title and felt that it was no longer appropriate because it made it sound like either you were gay or you were straight and not too much in between. So it was felt that a Gender Sexuality Alliance would be a more appropriate club name. So the acronym didn't change, it was still GSA, so it just went from Gay Straight Alliance to Gender Sexuality Alliance.
And you chose to be involved. Did the students come to you and say, Mrs. Maltby-Ingersoll, would you help us get this all organized?
Yes.
You pitched in, or they came to you?
They came to me. In fact, a gentleman who graduated from MVHS, oh my goodness, probably 10 years ago now, Scott Dinan. Hi, Scott. I don't know if you Scott had approached me way back 2007, 2008 to start up a GSA at MVHS back at that time, which we did. However, I was at that point in time having my children, so I was in, I was out, I was in, I was out. So the club, it only existed for maybe a year or two, but we did have a GSA at MVHS over a decade ago.
Wow.
And then in 2016, another student approached myself and Elizabeth Kelly, another teacher at MVHS, and asked if we would be teacher advisors for a GSA, that they would like to start one up. They knew that I had been the advisor for one in the past, and Elizabeth and I were both 100% on board.
Fantastic.
So that was how it started up again.
And then you got involved with this lady and Mrs. Elizabeth Kelly at that same time.
Yes, a match made in heaven. And it was, and the reason why we changed it from Gay Straight Alliance to Gender Sexuality Alliance, just to add a little bit further, is that we all felt that the movement had kind of moved on just beyond gay acceptance, and now we're talking about transgenderism and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, a whole another caveat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's something that, that Judy and I are still learning, right? Is everything that's there, right?
So much terminology and so much change and so much sexuality, changes, especially that we're not really openly familiar with. And that's why we love having a show that will educate myself and Veronique and other people.
Yeah, for sure.
So your story is interesting because you moved here from Burlington.
Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Thunder Bay. And so tell us, Tyler, as a teenager, some of the things that you went through before you actually came out.
Well, when I was a very young teenager, I was a little confused about my sexuality. I thought I would be straight one week, and then I thought I would be gay the next, and it was a very confusing time.
Yeah.
My hormones were way out of whack.
As they are when you're a teenager.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Like 12, 13, roughly?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't really get personal clarification on that until I was about 15 or 16. That's when I realized that I was gay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then,
It's interesting, actually, that you say, because that you were confused, because we don't often talk about that, right?
No.
And it's usually, well, you must have known. What do you mean you were confused? But it's trying to figure out who you are, right? Yeah, I can see that.
So you figured out who you were, and then you kind of had to share it with the people closest to you, and you were probably a little bit afraid.
Yes, I first of all, I reached out to my friends at high school first, and again, like it was really a wonderful experience. Everybody was incredibly accepting. I think I was very lucky in my timing because it was between the period where people were still being bullied and stuff like that for being gay, and also between the period where it's such a non-factor anymore that it's so relaxed. So I actually got a boost in popularity for coming out at high school. So that really helped me come out. Yeah.
Yes. And with your parents.
And how did you were you worried about how your family would react?
I was a little concerned, especially with my grandparents because they are of a different generation. So I thought, that bridge would be burned. Yeah. But again, like I told my grandma, she kind of did this and she's accepted it, and we've been fine ever since. Yeah. My mother told me I was fabulous, and
you know you are.
Thank you. And then Dad too, he told me he loved me. He cried a little bit, and but
it's emotional. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
But then you're freed.
Exactly.
Then you're free to say, I am Tyler Kingston, who I always wanted to be, and you have such a popularity.
Thank you very much.
Do you think that, and I guess that would be my fear if I were a parent of a child, do you think maybe your parents worried a little bit that it would be hard for you, like that life would be a little bit harder had you come out, like when you came out as gay?
I think so. And another thing too, though, is that it's a very awkward conversation to have when you're coming out as gay, because it's not just saying like I want to be like a rock star or anything. You're having essentially a conversation about your sex life, and talking about your sex life with your parents is very hard. Yeah.
Well, and that's a great point, because I'll be honest, it's not a conversation I ever wanted to have or want to have with my parents, and I am not a teenager.
No, because we don't have to come out and announce, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I'm straight."
Exactly. And this is what I'm going to do with my life. You don't have that conversation.
Yeah. You're just talking about your kids, the birds and the bees and all of that. But if one of my children came to me and said I'm gay, at first it would set me back, because if I didn't suspect it, it would be like, oh wow, whoa. And it is a whole mind change and a whole lifestyle change, because then you have this young boy that you do worry about, and maybe some harm coming to him in the way of, like you said, bullying or whatever. What were some of the biggest challenges for you?
I think the biggest challenge for me would have been just trying to make sure that people didn't perceive me as becoming a different person when I came out, because again, like nothing about me is different, and there was a lot of anxiety that, okay, are people going to start acting differently towards me? Not necessarily in a negative way, but just in a way that's going to really trouble the relationships that I want to keep and maintain.
That were wonderful. That were just so comfortable.
Yes.
Can I add something here?
Certainly, Melanie.
Going towards this feeling comfortable at school and amongst your family and your friends. Tyler is so comfortable, or was so comfortable with being a gay man in a high school, that he spoke at a We Day celebration that was held at MBHS last year for the whole entire school, all the staff, the whole school is there, and he spoke for about 10-15 minutes on his personal story, being a gay man. In high school, the coming out story with everybody. So just to kind of show, though, too, how far we've come in our school community and our community of Miramichi, for Tyler to feel comfortable and stand up and share that story with everyone.
Exactly.
So I feel like we're a very open, accepting, welcoming school and community.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
you were both very involved in the Pride stamp painting, and again and again and again.
Yes.
And the repainting and the repainting. How did that all come together, and why was it so important to have that happen here?
I think it was really the brainchild of Melanie here. So
no, it wasn't actually. It was a student who had. I'm not sure. Can I say their names if they're minors?
No,
no, I guess not.
Just in case.
Is a student who's currently in high school and was one of the founding members of the MVHS GSA from 2016, and. When we first started up the club, we said, what initiatives would you guys like to take on? What are you looking to accomplish with this club? It's your club.
Right.
And that was the first thing that was brought up. Wouldn't it be nice if we could have a rainbow crosswalk like they have in Moncton and in Halifax, have one down on the town square? I said, that's a wonderful idea.
Yes.
So then I spoke with Adam Lorden to see how do we go about accomplishing this.
Right.
And this on your arm, is this a particular bracelet that stands for Pride?
Yes. So there's a wonderful organization called Pride in Education New Brunswick, so PINB, and they sell these for $1 on their website. And we had purchased dozens of them to sell as a fundraiser for the GSA at MVHS as well. So it used to say Pride in Education New Brunswick. It's faded off.
You've worn it so long now that it's faded.
And they hold a conference every October in Fredericton. It's called PICon for middle school and high school students and GSAs and their teacher advisors. Yes.
And for both of you who are so open and accepting and with the times and knowing all of this, you know, that people are gay and bisexual and etc., transgender, do you find a lot of people opening up more and more and more? Like, do you see a big rise in that coming out?
I think
in high school, or?
Yes, and even sooner in middle school too. Even in middle school, I think too, it gets it's more open and it's more acceptable to come forward.
Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely.
What else do you want to share?
Well, and even I shared a story earlier about with Veronique, my daughter at her school in grade 1. They were doing a couple of weeks ago a day where they invited the community in to come, or the parents to come in and see the projects that they've been working on. And she's in grade 1, and her class had done a project on inclusivity, and they were sharing with the parents who are all coming through their school, you know, this is what we're doing in our class to promote inclusivity and to learn about it. So they've been reading stories about, you know, families that have 2 dads, or families that have 2 moms, or people who live with grandma. And they had done up this little poster, and the slogan on it in French had said, if I translate it to English, it had said, "We are all different, but in our hearts we're all the same."
Isn't that beautiful?
To me, I mean, already in grade 1, this is now being taught and explained. You know, it doesn't matter.
Well,
who you love.
And that encompasses so much. It's you know, race, religion, you know, sexuality. It's we are all the same. We are all human, and we just you know, the more we love each other, the better life is.
Exactly.
You know,
totally accepting each other.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and Tyler, I'll step back for a second. But when I talked about being the parent of a child, because I go back to my youth, right, when it was a lot harder, in that, you know, people were being, you know, beaten and murdered, really, you know, the world over, and you know, I still have that fear sometimes when I think of my loved ones, but I'm so heartened to know that it isn't that difficult anymore. That the world is a much better place.
Yeah, we've made leaps and bounds, each and every one of us, like just in the past 10 years. It really is fantastic to see.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I started teaching in 2001, and I would say almost on a daily basis, I would hear somebody say, "That's so gay."
Yes.
That's so gay.
Yep.
And it didn't mean, it really had nothing to do with being gay. No. It was just a derogatory comment on things that they didn't like. That's so gay. I don't hear that expression anymore.
No, I don't either.
I've talked to my students about it, and they said that they still sometimes hear it. So I guess, unfortunately, it is still being dropped here and there. But I can say in the classroom setting, I'm not hearing that anymore. So at least, I guess, they're not saying it in front of the teachers.
That's the evolution of language.
They need to stop elsewhere as well.
Yeah, like it's, you know, because there's those words that used to be used in casual conversation, you know, talking about those with intellectual, you know, challenges and the R word, and, you know, and then talking about race words and things like that. So I'm glad to see that we are making that progress. You know, the more we educate, the better it is.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now? You'll have your nursing degree.
Yeah.
And would you like to stay involved with young people and talking and speaking in public forums as you did on We Day, and educating those who are maybe afraid to talk about who they really are?
Yeah, I'd love to be like a nurse practitioner and go into schools and stuff and like just help educate people. I think nurses are educators in some contexts. Yeah.
It's a wonderful calling, actually, that profession. I couldn't do it, so I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, it is an amazing calling. So Melanie, what are you hoping for the future? In our last couple minutes, what do you hope is going to continue to happen in our region?
Well, I'm already seeing more and more schools having GSAs, not just at the high school level, but also at the middle school level. So that's very encouraging, because to me, the sooner you can start educating people, the better. And I'm so happy that I know that my daughter goes to Carrefour Beau Soleil, my daughters all go there, but to know that my child in grade 1 is already being
understanding the whole
about
concept.
Inclusivity, exactly. On all levels, because it wasn't just about LGBTQ related matters, but they were part of that. So I think that's very important. It'd be nice to see something come into the curriculum, and believe I heard somewhere along the way that there is a course that's going to be implemented in curriculum eventually, more related to LGBTQ matters specifically, not just, bringing in a few topics here or there. I think like it's supposed to be a full-on course. So hopefully that does come into play down the road. And the younger the better. I think it was talked about at the high school level, but which would be fine, but I'm thinking maybe even middle school at this point in time, because like you said, you were 12, 13 years old. Struggling to understand. So I think the sooner the better, so that people don't have to struggle to understand what's going on.
What a weight off when you finally say, I'm out, this is who I am. It's just a whole, right?
Well, we thank you both so much for joining
Wonderful
us.
Guests.
It was not enough time, but we want to thank you both for coming. And don't go too far. We're about to go on break again. We have more great show coming up. So stay tuned. Grab another cup of coffee if you need one. And then head on back and sit down with us for another few minutes, okay?
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Very good show.
Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. We've been having a very wonderfully informative show today, and really with some guests who are sharing their personal journey, and we've been very lucky to have that. So I'm your host today, Veronique Arsenault. I'm joined by my co-host, of course, Judy Loge, and Audrey's out sick, unfortunately, today, so we wish her well, but we're just thrilled to have the show that we're having. So now we are joined by Kaylin O'Kane and Alex Hickey-Ross, so welcome to you both.
Hi, how are you?
Very glad you could make this show.
Yes, Well, Kaylin, of course, has been on the show before, so we're thrilled to have you back. You joined us last September, just before your wedding.
Just before my wedding.
He's a star now. He's the second time on the show.
I want to get paid for this.
Yeah, right.
If you figure out a way to get it done, let us know.
Yeah.
But we're so glad to have you back. And for those who missed the show the original time, please introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are.
Well, my name's Kaylin O'Kane, and like Veronique said, I was on here a year ago, and just before my wedding.
Yeah.
I'm still working at Walmart. I've been there for, well, actually it'll be 3 years, June the 22nd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a big job. You have a lot of employees under you.
Yes, a lot. It's a good job, though. Everybody there is really, really for me and stuff like that. They've never, so there's nothing. Yeah, it's good.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Alex?
Hi. I'm a student at James and Hill. I'm graduating this June.
Exciting times.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Do you have plans after you graduate?
I'm hopefully going to St. Thomas University for psychology.
I did that. Took my degree in psychology, and I loved every minute of it.
She's the brilliant one on the show. So you're both here today. As our first segment, we talked about the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. So Kaylin, share a little bit about your story as you transitioned.
Well, I started probably when I was younger, like I had said before. Like Tyler said, you don't know who you are and who you want to be, right? And then you just all of a sudden, I'm living my life for me.
Right.
So I transitioned 2 years ago.
2 years,
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I've had nothing but support from everybody in my family, my wife, my stepsons, everybody. So, but like it's not something that's easy, and that's not something that just boom, it's going to happen.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a difficult journey.
And no matter how long, I could have been on it for 10 years, and it's still a journey. Every day
is.
Yeah. So
you're always wanting to be a different place.
Yeah.
But you're making strides.
Yes.
Because from the last time you look at, I just see the difference in Kaylin already, right?
I got a little bit of hair, a little bit more
Yeah,
hair.
you're looking really good
It's coming.
there.
A little bit more tattoos.
A little bit more tattoos, working out hard.
Yep, trying.
He has an 8-pack, folks, in case you can't really see.
It's not fair.
It's incredible.
I'll leave my shirt on today.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we are still a G-rated show, but
nothing's but acceptance, really.
Yeah,
from your end, right? Like people have always loved you, and they've stayed loving you no matter what during the transition.
I've never had any issues with any bullying or anything like that. So, but I'm an open person.
You're so open.
I will talk about anything. There's never a bad question. There's never anything.
Question.
No, never, ever.
And I have to say that for those of you who may run into Kaylin somewhere, Kaylin and I run into each other all over the place. And truly, Kaylin will answer any question.
Oh, and I love that.
I will.
Like, even when we didn't know each other, you would answer a question if I had one, and I find that really amazing.
Well, education goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know, if people aren't educated on any of it and they have questions, just ask. Like I'm on Facebook. If you ever want to Facebook me, anything like that, like about any questions, or even talk somewhere, have coffee, do whatever, I'm really open to that too. So.
Yeah. And Alex, you're more or less following in Kaylin's footsteps in your own journey, right?
In a way.
So let's talk about your story and where it all began for you as a young person.
So in the summer of 2015, I realized that I wasn't cisgendered. I thought I was gender fluid at first, and then towards the end of the summer, I had done what they call solos on the survival course that I was at the cadet camp. Okay. And you have a lot of time to think by yourself because you're in the woods basically for 3 days by yourself with like no interaction with anybody else, and you do a lot of thinking there.
I'm just going to stop you for 2 seconds, only because I know that I didn't know what cisgender meant before, so I printed off definitions, just so I'm going to share, okay? Just so that people can understand as we go through. So cisgender means a person whose gender identity and biological sex assigned at birth align with what they feel they are. So a simple way to think about it is that a person is not transgender; they are cisgender. So I would be cisgender. Yes. I was born a girl, and I identify as a girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
Yep.
So you're isolated. You had lots of time to soul search.
Yeah, and I came out of the exercise, I guess you can call it, and I was telling my friends that were there, and I was like, no, I feel as I am a boy, not as a girl, and they were all really supportive, and nobody there out of the 50 or so of us on the course
passed judgment or anything.
No.
Isn't that fantastic? Out of 50 people?
Yeah, it was
just
amazing.
shows that you're a really wonderful person. Really, though, that they love you for who you are no matter what changes you make in your life.
Were you afraid?
Yeah. It was hard to come out to those initial people, but that gave me kind of the confidence to be able to come out to everybody else over the past 3 years, where I slowly came out, and then last October, October 11th is the National Coming Out Day.
Yeah. Okay.
And I decided to post a thing on Facebook saying, hey, this is who I am, and if you don't respect that,
then too bad.
Too bad.
Right?
God,
that's the beauty of Facebook in a way. It can be very hurtful at times. People can say things that you don't want to hear. It could be me or Veronique or anybody they're saying things about. But when you post something like that, it's not having to be face-to-face. It's a bit easier, right?
My family kind of not judged me, but they were like, my dad was like, hey, you should have said it to a few family members in person. But I unfortunately couldn't see them before that day. So I just wanted to do it on that day to be like, hey guys, you don't have to come out then, but if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
And
was he maybe just worried about,
he was worried about
them being able to come together.
But there was, I think, 2 people that kind of reacted negatively of it out of the maybe 300 people that seen it or something like that. Number? If not more than that, I really don't know how many people have seen it.
And sometimes people just need a little bit of time to process, right?
Is it exciting making those physical changes? It must be very liberating, is it not? Like, what was the first thing, Kaylin, you did? Like, okay, was it the hair? Was it, you know what I mean? Like, let's walk through some steps that you want to change. So, how do you make the world realize this is Kaylin now and I'm a guy? And
well, the big things, I mean, the big changes obviously is the voice.
Exactly.
You know, as a talk, like, you know.
right.
Yeah,
but you started hormone therapy, correct?
Yeah, I've been on it. Well, it's been 2 years that I've been on hormone therapy, and a year since my surgery.
That's the first thing you did was the hormone, the voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, well, you don't have to. I don't have to train my voice to go low. It just automatically goes low.
Right.
So yeah, that was one of the big changes, and just your body physically changing, right? You know, I didn't have a female body to begin with. I was pretty athletic all my life. Okay. So, but yeah, the hips started to shrink in a little bit and stuff like that. But I only noticed probably in the last 6 months that this all started.
Yeah. But it looks good.
Yeah,
it's goatee going on.
Yeah, it's coming, and sideburns are coming, and you know. But I've been shaving now for a while, so it's.
And you're happy in your heart. Like you've never probably been happier.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You're married now, and you have stepchildren and a grandchild.
Yeah.
And
lots of fur babies and lots of fur babies.
Kaylin, do you feel like you now?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 100%. I mean, I was always, I think, I'd like to class myself as a happy person anyway.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors, not so much.
Right. Struggling.
Yeah. So, but now I'm I just
you feel free.
I feel free, yeah. I feel
and you're
free.
not quite there yet, right?
No,
because you're graduating and you want to be where Kaylin is someday.
Yes, I hope to be there. I'm going away for the entire summer, so anything I start trying to get lined up for anything has to wait until September. So I hope to be where Kaylin is someday, but it probably won't be for another couple of years.
Is it frustrating? Or is it, are you just okay with taking your time getting there?
It's frustrating because on social media you see people everywhere who are like way farther into their transition than I am, and I kind of get sad sometimes because I'm like,
well, we
so
all
far away.
We all want to get to that destination.
Yeah. I was where you were. I was where you were, and I always said, and then I'd watch and I'd Google stuff and I'd watch stuff on YouTube, and that's what I did constantly for a year. Was 2 years on hormone therapy, 3 years on how the people would look.
Right.
And like, I want to be there. I want to be there.
Progression.
And I'm there.
Right.
You know. So just be patient and.
Is that your biggest advice for Alex? Or
Yes.
what other lessons would you have for Alex or any other young person out there that is transitioning?
Just be patient. It's going to come. It will come. It's a progress, but you'll get there. Just let
and
it
look
come
for
as it comes.
support,
Yeah,
eh?
support. Like I'm here if you ever want to talk or anything like that, or anybody else.
That's great to know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
it's
it's interesting because we all have those things that we would like to get to, right? And so I know that feeling in my own way, right? So for mine, it's getting healthy, right? So I look at people who are a year or two or whatever into, and I'm like, but it comes, and unfortunately we have to be patient, and but I think as Kaylin said, it's looking for that support, and looking for those outlets that you can talk about it and find the steps that you need to take, right?
I think an interesting question. My question is, you have 2 younger siblings.
I do have
how,
2 younger
how does that affect the kids in the family? All of a sudden they have this brother.
Yeah.
What's that like?
So it was kind of difficult at first because I came out while I was still at camp, and I came home and my dad and my stepmom immediately started using my new name, and I was very happy about that.
Wow.
But it took a little while for my siblings. My
Right.
sister is almost 12 and my brother's 6.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot to process.
It was a lot for them. So my brother, it took a really long time because he just didn't understand.
Right.
And at 6, it's a hard thing to try to understand in any capacity of anybody's name or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it took a while for him, but the past couple months he's been really good with it. And he calls me Alex now, and he uses male pronouns, which I'm very happy that he does. I'm glad that he accepts me and he doesn't just ignore what we're telling him and that. And my sister, she was like, whatever.
Really cool. Cool with it.
He's learning to process.
Yeah. It was he was quite young, so he didn't really understand a lot of it, which is completely understandable when you're 5 and 6 to understand something like this, or even kind of have an idea of what it is.
Well, that's why Melanie was such a great guest, in the fact that she's educating people, and one of those people on board doing that, amongst others. But starting at last, she said, her young child with inclusivity in the schools.
Yes.
And when you see 2 dads going with a child, okay, why is that? They should know. These 2 men love each other, or these 2 women love each other, and they've chosen to have a family together.
Well, kids take all that stuff in, right? Like if you start them at a young age, they take it in. Their brains are like explosive.
They
So that's like my stepson. He's calls me he from as soon as I started.
Of course.
And he hasn't changed at all. Both of them actually. So it's
frustrating though when they don't, right? When they get your name wrong, or they start calling you another name, or it's great when
easy for me. I didn't have to change my name.
Exactly.
It's both.
Yeah, right. Alex, it is frustrating.
Very convenient.
Yes, my parents did that right anyway.
Very convenient. So Alex, for other young people your age or younger or a little bit older, what do you really want them to know?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure out who you are and just sit down and think about it. That's the best thing that I could give someone, honestly. It's like Google is your friend when you're finding this stuff. Yeah. The social media community, there is a lot of negative stuff in there, but there's tons and tons of positive things out there. Just
surround yourself with those.
Yeah. Google, really, it's your friend, especially with this, because there's lots and lots of websites. There's websites dedicated to this stuff, and
I think it would be great if people could Facebook us and have Alex and Kaylin maybe answer questions that they don't want to maybe go to them and in person and they're a little bit backward to discuss.
That's a great idea.
You know, then they can Facebook you or
or they can Facebook
Tyler,
us and we can reach
Melanie.
out to you. Yeah,
for sure.
So how do we so Judy and I, let's say, as loved ones or friends and family or a community, how do we support you?
Just by having us on the show, you're supporting me and him.
That's how we feel.
Yeah. So I mean, it's goes a long way.
Well, I'm very loving and accepting, and I feel everyone is the person that you know what I mean. Everyone's equal, and everyone should have the opportunity to be themselves and live the life, the one life they get the shot at. Live it the way you want to, and that was Veronique's quote. Yeah,
well, that's exactly right. Because I never had to decide, and we talked about it with Melanie and Tyler. I never had to decide to sit my parents down and say, by the way, I'm straight. Right? Like I never had to have that conversation, that tough conversation with my family, and I never had to think, are my parents going to love me anymore if I tell them I'm straight? Right? That's not something I ever had to do. So it
difficult.
I can't imagine how difficult it must have been. You know,
it was kind of scary when I did it. I had came out to my mom a couple times, and she just kind of disregarded and brushed it off. But that's kind of understandable because I was quite young. This was, I think it was just after I came home from camp in 2015, so I was really unsure of things still, but I was kind of sure.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I was still trying to figure it out at that time, and she kind of brushed it off, and when I came out in August, that's when I had sent the initial text to my dad and my mom saying, hey, this is who I am. If you're not comfortable with this, then I don't know.
I don't know what to do next.
Yeah, I know. You have to either you have to deal with it or not deal with it.
Yeah,
right.
It was interesting to come out. It was like that was the scariest thing.
I'm sure.
And I luckily, when I came out to the drama crew, my crew chief at the time said, "Do you want me to do it for you?"
Oh, tell everybody.
And, and that was, in a way, it sounds bad because I had someone out me, but at the same time, I had asked her to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to do it.
Right. You didn't know what to say.
It was the first time I had kind of came out to anybody at school, and I was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to do this. So she had almost been my mentor at that point in time, and she was like, I'll do this for you. And I have been thanking her to this day because of her, I don't think I would have came out back in October.
So we're about 30 seconds to the end of our show. So we want to thank you both for coming and sharing your journey. We want to make sure as well that anybody out there that if you have questions that you want to ask Caitlin and Alex or Tyler or Melanie, Facebook us. We will make sure that they get those questions and we will share the answers. If you need support, you need help, you need someone to talk to, please reach out, find someone out there, and know that you're loved no matter what. You're loved.
The bottom line, you're going to be successful. If you feel you're going to be successful, get that word out here, you will be. And you're on your way, right? And I'm so glad that you've had the chance to meet Kaylin too. Because Kaylin's very, very much himself and very, very much ready to answer questions and be a support system.
All right, so thank you to you both. Thank you to all of our guests today. And don't forget to join us on our next episode of Have a Chat. But Facebook us those questions and we'll make sure you get the answer. So thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great week.